Screen.
How did they find out? Who was the one?
This show has gotten infinitely more gay.
The mystical land of New Jersey.
I don't understand how the laws in this country work anymore.
Welcome to the Rebel Radio Show, live, uncut, and uncensored on WSRR Radio. We're saving the underground music scene. To my right, Shaney.
Hey, everyone.
On the board is Jules.
Howdy.
I'm Radio's Rebel DJ style. It is conspiracy season here on WSRR. Took 3 weeks, but I got the timing down of when you're going to do that now.
Yeah. It's right about then.
Well,
there's another one.
We're brought to you by Synergy Music Studio out of Chicago, GenericClothes.com, and Hellbender Vinyl. They're Pittsburgh's first and only custom vinyl record pressing plant here to make your next album release more than a bunch of just ones and zeros floating around online. We've covered a few things this conspiracy season already.
Yeah.
Covered the Zodiac Killer, time travel.
I'm him. I'm both of those things.
Let me tell you a
I'm
little
a
something.
Zodiac killing, time traveling,
Let me tell
big farming.
I got big farming.
Yeah.
I got to tell you a little something.
Go ahead.
You're not him. What did we talk about last week?
What did we talk about?
Martin Luther King.
That's right. Deep state cover-ups.
And
Ong's hat.
yes,
Ong's hat.
Good old Ong and his
Ong's
hat. I love wearing it. I'm still wearing Ong's hat.
I'm still wearing my brand new WSRR October merch where you can get with the Zodiac cipher on it. Go to WSRRradio.com, click on the merch and support button. Hey, while you're there, you can also help donate to the station by going to the Venmo. That's at WSRR Radio. Helps keep us and all the great local musicians on air along with our awesome sponsors. Today, we're going to talk about Big Pharma.
Bump, bump, bump.
And
you have to buy prescription drugs.
Yeah, I realized, we set up we talk about this every week. We set up the litany, the lexicon, the rundown for the month of these theories.
Yeah.
And Big Pharma was one that I really wanted to do because there's very few things that are serious issues that we talk about on the show that I am genuinely passionate about. And, every so often we talk about like men's mental health and we talk about the fact that we don't really know the dangers of cell phones and radiation and 5G and things like that. We've talked about the childhood obesity epidemic at one point. And Big Pharma is one of those topics. And I didn't know where to even start with this. But I feel like a good starting point is the name Pharma.
Yeah.
Because this is where I started thinking about using this as conspiracy season material, is the name pharmaceutical, pharmacy, all derives from the root word pharma, which derives from pharmakia. Let me pull up the exact definition here. Pharmakia in Latin comes from healing with harmful medicine, healing from poisonous herbs, a drug, poisonous potion, or magic. That is the root of pharma. Pharmakia, pharmacy, pharmaceuticals. So right there, it is everything you need to know.
Some magic pills.
It's poison. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And, before we dive deep into this, I'm not saying, like, abandon all medicine. Like, lidocaine's awesome.
I'm saying it.
I couldn't imagine having dental work done without Novocaine.
Flush all your prescriptions. Take no drugs. Raw dog life.
Aren't you not supposed to flush prescriptions? Isn't that a thing?
I'm telling you to.
Okay.
Well, never mind.
This is not a PSA.
No.
But yeah, the fact that the name alone is derived from something that's not good for you is crazy.
Yeah, it seems a little on the nose,
Yeah,
too.
and no one looks into it.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I think that's a little scary. I'm a little concerned about pharma, how big it is.
And again, we're going to be doing a bunch of bouncing around here, I'm sure, but I think one of the major points to bring up is the fact that I think it's 97% of all pharmaceuticals in the United States are owned by two parent companies.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Like, it's easy for me to sit here and tell you that, Frito-Lay is owned by PepsiCo, and you can understand that, my Doritos come from the same people that make Pepsi.
Right.
That's an easy concept to comprehend. If I tell you that, hey, this Advil that's on the counter, or these Band-Aids even, or this laxative, these all come from Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson, you'd be like, okay, you're a conspiracy theorist now. And look, the way that there are two major corporations that control all of the pharmaceutical industry in America is because they just buy out smaller industries. That's all it is. They buy out smaller pharmacies because they have the power to do so.
Well, and that's like, I feel like you look in any industry, you look at any industry in the world, any market, and you'll come to see that it's 3, 4, 2 big companies that, just as you said, they have the money to, so they buy out these smaller companies, and so is life. You know, that's just kind of the way it is, and that's terrifying. That's you know, concerning.
Right. And like exactly like you said, though, there's no separation for the medical industry. It's the same as anything, and there's no regulation. We're one of the few, if not only, nations that don't have any regulation in terms of market on the medical industry. So people can do this.
Yeah,
you don't have to have any stock in the medical industry. If you have the money, you can just start buying pharmacies.
So
in pharmaceutical companies.
It's like it's a money making thing.
Oh, absolutely. That's all it is.
It's become a money making thing.
I want to talk. What's our man's name? Martin Shkreli?
Martin Shkreli?
Martin
big guy?
Shkreli? Yeah.
The big guy?
Because I think this is the greatest example of it, and maybe the most well-known.
Yeah.
Other than one other I have in mind. But Martin Shkreli was the CEO of Turning Pharmaceutical, the company that he just bought. He was an investor. He bought Turning Pharmaceutical, the company, and then he bought the rights, the copyright, the patent for Drapamine? Daraprim?
Yeah.
It's one of the Daraprim, I think is how you say it. He bought the rights to the prescription drug Daraprim, which is used in... It helps with HIV. It helps fight HIV, but it also helps... it's the main thing that we use to fight malaria.
Right.
And he bought the rights to this drug. Just only one in America that can not use it, but mass produce it, essentially.
Manufacture.
Yeah, manufacture it. And he changed it when he bought it. It was selling on market for $13.50. He changed that to $750. Now, I'm not talking like over the course of 10 years. No, when he bought it, he changed the price to purchase this drug for any pharmaceutical company, any manufacturer, any hospital from $13.50 to $750.
Right.
That's
per pill.
Per pill, yeah. That's an insane index.
Insane.
And he was asked why he did it, and he was asked, what the reason for it is. There short is no. He literally said it's to make money, and it's an essential medicine that we need. It helps fight the malaria.
It's a vaccine for malaria.
Yeah.
It's
the reason we don't have malaria.
Yeah, right. Crazy.
And he on record has said that he would have charged more for it. Yeah. Looking back,
evil,
because there's more money to be made. It's an insane concept that this dude just bought the rights to an entire prescription, to an entire medication, and you can do that, and it happens all the time.
Yeah, that was something that you kind of brought up before. Is like he wasn't the first. He's just someone who kind of brought this idea to the more broader public, and like I think it's even interesting that we talk about down with big whatever, up with big as
milk.
Up with big milk, whatever.
Down with big milk.
Down with big milk. Right. Excuse me.
Don't get your political agenda twisted here, pal.
But like it started with big pharma.
Yeah.
Big pharma, big pharmaceuticals, and like the whole Martin Shkreli thing is like that's where big pharma, or that's where down with big pharma, that's where
the meme, that's where it came from.
It's just interesting to me how deeply rooted and like I don't know, like you can see the pattern happen, and it's like, well, what do we as people do? If you have malaria, what the fuck do you...
Guess you're paying.
Yeah, right.
Guess you're paying.
You cough it up, right?
Fun fact, that guy, Shkreli, was released from prison in Pennsylvania in May of 2022.
He went to... Not for anything drug-related. He went to prison for, like...
Conspiracy?
Wire fraud conspiracy or something like that?
Securities fraud.
Securities fraud, that's what it was. Yeah, it wasn't anything related to the drug industry. It was him just trying to get more money. Illegally.
And because that's legal in the drug industry.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes, and so they're not going to slap him on the wrist for it, or they're going to slap him on the wrist for it.
Right.
That's how they got the mob guy.
The mob guy?
They got him for tax evasion or something.
Talking about Al Capone?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got him for tax evasion.
Instead of all of his other crimes.
Yeah, they didn't get him for anything mob-related. It was because he didn't pay his taxes.
It's like OJ. Killed his wife.
Glove didn't fit, buddy. Sorry to tell you. Must have quit.
What'd they get him on? Selling memorabilia or something like that?
I think part of it was also taxes.
Was it
like,
a tax
I think there
thing?
were 2 charges.
Was it a tax evasion thing?
I think.
I don't remember. But they got him on something completely different, other than
not for murdering his wife.
Yeah, other than the fact that he murdered his wife.
Yeah. But to your point, like you said, it doesn't have to be a company. It could just be a guy with some money who's an investment banker like this dude, or an investment broker who just purchased a pharmaceutical company because he knew about this product.
Right. Like he was just a guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He didn't go to college.
Yeah.
For
Didn't have
this.
any kind of medical background.
Right. Just the guy who is into money.
Which essentially is how we get to 2 major companies controlling all of our pharmaceuticals, Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson, because they don't buy products. They buy companies. Yeah. Oh, this pharmacy in Upper New Hampshire has a cure for this thing they're working on. Before they finish it and put it to public market, let's buy the company now. That's ours, and we determine when it gets released, if it gets released, and how much it gets released for.
So crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's a case recently that I had written down here. It's a company called Gilead, and they bought the rights to a pill that cured the Hep C.
Mm-hmm.
It cured it in 3 months.
Hepatitis.
Yes, hepatitis C. It cured it in 3 months. The only pill on the market that's ever been able to cure hepatitis. And it's 3 months supply. You take these daily pills, and by the 3rd month, it's completely gone by when you're done with your pills. One and only drug like it.
Right.
And a small company, or a small pharmaceutical company, was developing it. Gilead bought the rights to this company, completely took it over, and are now selling the cure for hepatitis C for $84,000 for this 3-month supply of pills.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And what?
It's a little over $1,000 a pill.
What was it initially?
It wasn't released yet.
So that was just their opening.
Yeah, and they set the price for it.
Crazy.
To the point where when they released it in Europe, I believe there was a massive outrage because apparently they have a higher hepatitis epidemic in Europe. But there was a whole outrage in Europe and France about it, and like they protested the sale of it. They protested pharmacies and everything, and they ended up cutting it by half to where it's I think it's somewhere around like 20-something thousand euros now. 24,000 euros is the conversion. But like still, it's still ridiculously priced. Yeah. And they consider that the people of the UK consider that a win. Because now they're not paying $80,000, they're paying $40,000 for it,
Right.
Still
ridiculous.
Yeah, still more than you should be paying for 3 months of pills.
Yeah, and they just they get away with it. Because
because there is, especially in America, there's no regulation.
Well, and why isn't there government?
Well, and I'll tell you this, and I think I brought it up last week. Capitalism works. Capitalism is a beautiful fucking system. The problem with capitalism in America is we don't regulate monopolies like we should. We have very much loosened what defines a monopoly. Because it's just like everything else. It's like the radio business. It's like chain restaurants. Because there is not one company that makes all of the products and all the money and owns all the things. Mm-hmm. Because there's 2 major corporations, it can't be a monopoly because there's competition. It's still a fair market if there's 2 companies. So even though that all of the pharmaceuticals are owned by 2 companies in America, well, it's not a monopoly because you have a choice.
Yeah, right.
It's either company A that's charging tens of thousands of dollars or company B that's charging tens of thousands of dollars. So the problem isn't, the fact that we have a capitalist society with an open market. The problem is the fact that we don't regulate monopolies. We've become an oligarchy where we are very much a nation. And I mean, if you want to look at a broader term, a world that's controlled by companies. Right. Because you have billionaires who have no stake in pharmaceuticals sitting on the board of the FTC and the WHO. Bill Gates is the #1 contributor to the WHO, the World Health Organization. #1 funder. So whatever stance he wants to take on any medication or any pill or anything like that, any drug, whatever stance he wants to take, the WHO are going to follow suit because if not, they're going to lose the majority of their funding. Right. And that's a ridiculous amount of power that no one should have.
And he's not even in health.
No, some guy that marketed computers is controlling what gets regulated as a federal drug in our country.
Well, and then it becomes a conversation of do you regulate that?
We're going to break. We'll talk about when we come back. 216-859-8699. What drugs are you on?
listening to the Rebel Radio Show.
Before we went to break, we started talking about how the fact that Big Pharma is just a collection of two, essentially, pharmaceutical companies that rule everything because they've bought everything. And you know what's similar to that? Big brand clothing companies.
Ooh.
So, unlike the big pharma industry, where we really don't have much we can do in terms of fighting the big pharma. Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice little squeak in there?
Yeah, you know.
Well, we don't have much we can do in terms of fighting big pharma than holistic medicine. We do have a way of fighting big brand clothing companies, and that is GenericClothes.com. You go to GenericClothes.com, and you can get all of your sweet merch like band shirt, local artist, famous musician, politician, political statement, local event, county fair, all on a shirt, all at a fair price without supporting big brand clothing cunts. Go to GenericClothes.com. Jules, you had something you wanted to contribute.
Basically, there was a pharmaceutical lawsuit that happened. It was GlaxoSmithKline.
Is that like the...
That's the company,
okay.
LLC.
Okay.
They pled guilty to promoting prescription drugs and failed to report safety info on their promotion.
Okay.
This drug was basically made to treat diseases from HIV, respiratory diseases, and conditions. And the people that took it ended up getting lupus and cancer.
That's bad.
They paid out $3 billion for that lawsuit.
There's a lot of cases of that, of just drug companies not reporting or not disclosing or not even knowing the side effects before pumping the drug out because it will make them money. And, I don't want this to become a political thing, but that's a lot of the issue we had with the COVID vaccine is it was untested. It was an unregulated drug that the FTC pumped out because you had big backers like Bill Gates going, nope, here it is. Right. Let's make money off it. And that's a crazy concept to me. The fact of not basing medicine off medicine, but rather how much money you can make is corruption. That's all it is.
Yeah, and I feel like to even dive into a nitty-gritty of you have to think about there are what do you call them? Representatives for these prescription companies that will go to different hospitals and
just pitch the drug.
No matter what, and sell it relentlessly.
That's like you said, it's just like anything else. If I'm a promoter for a band, I'm going to go to every venue and pitch this band, whether it fits your demographic or not. I'm going to pitch it to you.
They're
exactly.
Door-to-door salesmen.
Right. But just on a much bigger and scale. More serious scale.
Yeah. There's a couple of quick things I want to bring up here just as passing comments. I think the overall message of Big Pharma in today's show is the reason that we have this conversation is because we don't cure diseases, we treat them. And the reason we treat diseases instead of cure them is because it's a lot more cost efficient to have a recurring customer. If we're treating something and you have to keep coming back and paying for medical expenses, they're going to make a lot more money than if they sell you the cure for something. And I think that's why a lot of these diseases, quote unquote, don't have cures. I'm sure there's a lot out there that, like in HIV, where we don't have the capability to cure that at this point.
Right.
But I think there's probably some things on the market we do have cures for. Some things that are very life-threatening that we're making, not we, but the pharmaceutical industry is making hundreds of thousands of dollars on monthly.
Right.
If not daily.
Well, what did you say? It's 40% of...
40% of the population believes that there is a cure for cancer.
And that's when I don't doubt. That's when I don't doubt.
Right.
And I'm not saying all cancers, but there's probably some.
Probably specific ones.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I want to bring this up, too, is because I think most of America's problems today is with the food we eat, which is also regulated by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, by the way. Same company that's pumping you full of pharmaceuticals is the same company telling you what can go into food.
Super interesting.
Yeah. It's the same people that are telling you there's an allowed amount of lead in your Lunchables.
The food and drug.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on. Those are the two things that we are ingesting as people.
Right. You got to have the drugs because you're not getting the nutrients you need from the food that's coming from the same people.
Womp womp.
Crazy.
1.9 million people get cancer every year.
I want to know what the increase in that is over time. That's the number I'd be more curious about. Like from 1960 to 2024, how much has that number increased per year? How many people?
I'm curious how much
on average.
In just 2022, 366 people died of cancer.
Okay, but so here's what I was getting at with that. Most of the illnesses that we have today, if you do the research, it's from deficiencies. It's some kind of mineral deficiency, some kind of vitamin deficiency, some deficiency that we are not getting, oil deficiency, whatever it may be. Right. That is where most of our illnesses come from today, and that's general illnesses, that's dietary, whether it's like IBS or things like that. It's skin, hair, things like general illnesses. Most of it comes from deficiencies. And the reason that we have that is because there's 90 essential nutrients that make up the human body that it needs to function at peak efficiency. We are not getting half of that in our day-to-day food. You can go and buy organic lettuce at Whole Foods, and you won't get what's supposed to be in that because the FDA is regulating how much legally of these essential nutrients need to be in that food. And it's nowhere near what we need to live. And the reason for that is because then they can sell you supplements and protein powders and drugs and pills to cure your illnesses now. And it's a whole fucking cycle that it's the snake eating its own tail. They're selling us foods that don't have the nutrients so they can turn around and tell us we have diseases and sell us drugs that cure those diseases. Right. Meanwhile, we're shilling out all the money for it. When it comes to the topic of cancer, there's research that I've only heard about one time, and I went and for this episode made sure it wasn't just a bogus claim I heard somewhere, that there was actual research done about it, because no one talks about it. Because the FDA has a stranglehold on everything, and it's considered holistic medicine. Sunflower seeds. Oh, yeah. Sunflower is really good for curing, or not curing, but preventing the growth of tumors in certain kind of cancers. It essentially nullifies the word I'm looking for. Essentially nullifies the growth of the cancer cells in tumors. So I believe, and I could be wrong, I believe leukemia was one of the main ones they talk about. So it's advocated to eat sunflower seeds or things that are high in sunflower because that works actively against the growth of cancer cells in your system. When have you ever heard that told to a cancer patient or in any conversation discussing cancer? Because I haven't. Until I did the research for it.
Well, and I think that's something, too, that's interesting is, like, it's probably very easy for these companies to, like, disregard something as holistic medicine and then create the idea that holistic medicine is, like...
pseudoscience, essentially.
Pseudoscience or lesser than, or, you know, like...
Well, and to
there's
your point,
the real stuff, and then there's this silly witchcraft, you know, like...
And to your point... from earlier, that these pharmaceutical companies will go to hospitals and pitch this product to them. That's why they can't do it. The hospital is signing deals with Johnson & Johnson or Pfizer or a smaller pharmaceutical company that's saying, hey, we are going to prescribe this drug for these ailments. Right. So we legally cannot tell you, hey, this is what we would prescribe, but there's a holistic approach that might be... They can't do that legally. Right. And there's certain states that I looked up that they can't even, like, recommend holistic medicine. Like, you can go to a pharmacy and, you know, maybe you're not getting a diagnosis, but you're saying, hey, I feel this way. I read about this. What do you think about this holistic approach?
You can initiate that conversation and see where it goes.
They're not going to out of the gate recommend it to you, obviously. Right. But you can typically, you know, have that conversation, especially with, like, a practitioner.
You can egg it along.
Yeah, sure. Your family doctor.
Right.
But there's a lot of states where it's illegal to even recommend holistic medicine, not because, you know, a contract with the hospital itself, but the state has decided that you cannot prescribe holistic medicines.
Right.
It's insane to me.
It's super. And then that's another thing too, where you like the drug industry and the medical industries are like intertwined, shaking hands. Both making
companies.
and the insurance companies. They're all intertwined, shaking hands, making money as we keep coming back, and this is very serious and we need something done, and they're recommending this or they're prescribing this thing that some salesman came a year ago and said, we're gonna, you know, you guys are gonna sell this stuff at this rate for these illnesses. And it's kind of like, and it's something too where working in the medical industry and seeing that it is really just a business
Yeah.
How the employees view it as a business and hearing. And I mean, again, this is all secondhand here.
Sure.
But like,
yeah, let me point out, none of us are practicing in the medical field or have any kind of license to give you any kind of recommendations.
Right. We don't have any skin in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really, you see the seedy underbelly of it all. Mm-hmm. And like Big Pharma is just another one of those things where it's like, yeah, clearly this is all some kind of circus that they're trying to propagate.
It's a business.
And, right.
At the end of the day, it's a business. And, you know, I hate to give him credit, but Martin Shkreli goes on the record and says, hey, you know, if I could turn back the clock, I'd up the price more for this drug and charge people more for it because it's a necessary drug and you're going to pay because you need it. And at the end of the day, no one wants to say it, but that's how it works. It's about making money.
Well, that's what they did with EpiPens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a two company. The same thing in the UK happens. There's two major pharmaceutical companies, and I'll talk about them, I guess, when we come back. 216-859-8699. I said disclose your drug information. Don't do that. That's a HIPAA violation.
gyros.
Oh yeah, no, the gyros at Arby's are
they're gyros, but yeah.
I hate that you call them fucking gyros.
They're gyros. They're gyros. It's a Greek word. Damn
I'm not Greek.
It's a Greek word. Damn it.
Greek.
Dude, get him to the Greek.
I'm not Greek. I don't go in the fucking.
What do you call it? Parmesan. It's parmesan then for you, buddy.
No, it's not.
Parmigiano.
I'm not
It's
Greek.
called a fucking gyro.
I don't drive through Taco Bell and go, yeah, let me get pollo. I don't do that. I say chicken because I'm not Mexican.
Yeah, Evan, I don't go through the drive-thru and say, I want spaghetti. I say, give me the noodles.
We're back on the Rebel Radio Show talking about Big Pharma during conspiracy season. But first, we got to talk about Synergy Music Studio. They're out of Chicago. They work with local and independent artists in the area to get your track's album ready. You can go into Synergy Music Studio, lay down your track in their state-of-the-art studio, or even sign up for a naked session where they can do live video performance as well. They get you all of the cut content for that and send it back to you. And if you're not in the Chicago area, take advantage of Synergy's reamping service, where you can send in your unfinished track to get reamped through all of their. You can pick out what kind of sound you want. You want a fuzzy sound to it? You want a crisp sound to it? You want a 1980s Stratocaster sound to it? You send it right over to Synergy Music Studio. They'll run it through their reamping session and get it back to you album ready or radio ready. Again, that's synergymusicstudio.com. They're based out of Chicago. We're talking about Big Pharma, and I want to bring this up real quick before we went to break.
Bring it up.
I brought out some prescription, some non-prescription medication that I had in the cabinet.
Yeah, I came into the studio today, and Style was organizing his prescriptions in his usual
There's only one
recording
prescription
spot.
there.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of pills.
There are. Well, it's
a little concerning.
It's acetaminophen, it's Neosporin, it's allergy medicine, and it is a prescription eye medication that I had.
Are we popping pillies?
Yes.
Are we getting freaky?
We're supporting Big Pharma now. We're just going to take all the pills.
Okay.
And then we're going to get sick, and we're going to have to go to the hospital and get more pills for it.
A little bit of that Monster Mash? Just
no, you have a Monster there.
Oh,
we're not sponsored by Monster. But we'd like to be.
Yeah.
They're not bad.
Yeah.
But I specifically pulled these out because I just have generic, drugstore brand acetaminophen there, and I had Neosporin. Pretty common things, right?
Yeah, sure.
And I encourage anyone at home to after hearing this conversation about the fact that the pharmaceutical industry is just a monopoly, look at any of your prescription medication. They'll tell you who they're made by. And even if it's a pharmacy you might not recognize, or it's a local pharmacy, Google who that pharmacy is owned by. Because my acetaminophen, that's just drugstore brand, Neosporin, those are both produced by Johnson & Johnson. So me just buying fucking something for a headache or a small cut on my hand is going to Big Pharma. That's like, this isn't, a cure for cancer or HIV or Hep C. Like, this isn't serious medication. It's your typical drugstore medication that's also owned by Big Pharma. So that's I think that was ridiculous, and I encourage everyone to, when they buy medication, if they have to, maybe do a little research into who the parent companies are as well.
Interesting. And it's one of those things, too, where, like, say you're in the grocery store, and you look it up, and you see that it's owned by Johnson & Johnson. What do you do?
Yeah,
what do you do?
Well.
You're like, well, okay, I guess I'm fucked.
Yeah.
And every other one up there is going to be owned by either that one or Pfizer or whatever,
Which, again, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because obviously I have this stuff in the house.
Yeah,
I use acetaminophen when I have a headache.
Yeah, right.
And there are, like I said at the beginning of this, I'm not saying all drugs are bad, but there are probably holistic answers to a lot of the issues that we have in day-to-day life.
Yeah, I think that is a good discussion of why do we look at holistic medicine the way that we do as a society, as a culture?
Because that's how it's been painted to us.
And I think even you using the term holistic, like you have this mental image of like a hippy-dippy,
crystals and dream catchers.
Just from saying it. And it's just because that's how we've built it up as a society. I'm sorry to have my Joker moment again, but
we are a society.
Yeah, but like it's interesting.
Holistic practitioners are called naturopaths.
When have you ever heard someone like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to my naturopath"?
Right.
Like what?
And you can. And literally all that means is they're using roots and vitamins and things that you can just buy at the store rather than buying drugs that you don't know what's in. Because even something as small as acetaminophen, where it's like, oh, I have a headache, I'm going to take 2 aspirin. Look at the back of that, see how many things you can pronounce on it.
Right. This is, sidestep a little bit, but I've always had that same idea, and I wish there was a similar approach with like shampoos and body washes and conditioners. It's all just a tub of white or blue or green, whatever, liquid, like cream liquid, and you just lather it on yourself.
Trust the process.
They have oatmeal stuff that I like to use.
And I would totally try something like that, because you got to think, and this might sound holistic, but like there were probably people 300, 400 years ago who would like find specific leaves and herbs and berries and mush it together, rub it on themselves, and that was their soap or whatever the case may be. I don't know.
So let's take that then, because you look 300, 400, 500 years ago, right? And people were getting by just fine. There weren't as, and you know, we weren't as advanced. People were probably dying of a lot simpler things that we have answers now to, like polio, like malaria.
Right.
And again, that's all well and good, but people weren't having as many health issues day-to-day life as we are today. And it's insane. And it's because we're lacking nutrients in our food, because it's not actually grown the way it's supposed to be. Even non-GMO shit is still modified. It's still up to a certain standard the FDA has deemed appropriate, which again is just made up of a bunch of people that have money that are funding this, don't necessarily have to have medical background.
They're watching the snake eating its tail. They're the ones controlling the snake that's eating its tail.
There's lead in Lunchables.
There is an allowed amount of lead in everything you can eat. And not just lead, it's a bunch of shit.
In your tampons.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah. It's really, really interesting. And then like having to sidestep to a quote-unquote more holistic approach like feels avant-garde. Like it feels, you feel like an outcast or something like that. And yeah, you're right. You shouldn't feel like an outcast. You're trying a different approach that could potentially be a million times better. And it's like a situation of everyone is different. Everyone is so different. So what may work for me might not work for you, and you might have to try this, and that's why there are multiple, and maybe you do need to take the prescription pill, and like that's another thing too, is like I don't necessarily have a problem with the acetaminophen or the whatever that it works. It takes your headache away, it kills the pain, whatever. The prescription does what the prescription is supposed to do 90% of the time, and I've never had negative reactions.
Right.
Like very blessed to say that, and you know, who knows, maybe in whatever, but like this this is just a problem. I don't know.
We very much live in a drug culture of something is wrong with you, here's the solution.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's crazy. And don't get me wrong, there is a mental health crisis going on, and I don't think the answer to that is, okay, well, you're depressed, have this pill.
Take this pill.
And I'm not saying there aren't situations that call for that, but I'm saying that shouldn't be your first response.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you're feeling a little sad today? Here's Zoloft.
Right.
That's not how this should work. And it's sick that it does that, even because you even have psychiatric professionals, therapists that can write you a prescription to go get Zoloft or lithium or any of these other antidepressants after one visit and one conversation of, oh, well, you felt sad because your grandmother died. Here's a prescription. It is normal to go through anxiety, sadness, depression. And I looked into this because I wanted to know how much of it is related to the FDA and this drug culture we live in, and how much of it has been actual advancements in medication.
Yeah.
And I looked into it, and there's many, many, many records of professional psychologists and psychiatric professionals going and saying that this has done more harm to our culture in terms of mental health than anything, because while there are examples where, you know, medication is probably needed if you have, you know, schizophrenia or some severe depression or things like that, we shouldn't be pushing these pills because it is normal and expected, and has been, like you said, for hundreds and hundreds of years for people to experience sadness and depression and anxiety in scenarios where it's warranted. That's how the brain works. And how the brain works is, let's take, you know, you lost someone, for example, right? My grandmother died. You're supposed to feel down. You're supposed to feel sad and depressed and detached. And it's the stages of grief that you go through that teaches your brain how to deal with that.
Right.
Now, if you start that process with, something bad happened and now I'm sad about it, and your doctor goes, here's lithium, your brain doesn't go through the process it's supposed to.
Right.
And it does more harm long term to how your brain functions.
I feel like my brain has problems functioning, so... Sorry, guys. But it's all the lithium that I've been listening to lately.
They'll do that to you. But no, we shouldn't. And again, I'm not saying that medication is unwarranted for mental health issues.
Yeah.
I'm saying it shouldn't be our first line of defense.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think that's kind of where I was trying to go, is like, I think if holistic approach is cool, and if that works for you, awesome. That works for you. It might work for me. It might whatever. If you need to if the prescriptions work for you, use them. And I don't necessarily I don't have a problem with that. It's the fact that it's a monopolized system of 2-3 companies running the show, and we don't see doctors being like, oh, why don't you try this? This is a little bit more obtuse approach. This might be a little bit different, but why don't you try that? You know, it's always a pill pumping process.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that is where because it's like a system. It's like you said, it's a snake eating its own tail. You go to the hospital, you get the medicine. The medicine works for a little bit, and then it goes away, or something different crops up because of, and then you're on a new, and it's just forever.
Yeah.
And so that's the problem that I have is we don't. It's like you're doing a holistic approach is like voting for like the Green Party or something like that.
Sure.
You're a weirdo, you know, and it just shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous, and I think it all does always come back to what you said of it's someone selling something.
Yeah.
It's, they're not prescribing you Zoloft because you're sad. They're prescribing you Zoloft because either the company has a deal with them and they're told that, hey, this is the answer to these side effects. That's what you got to do, or it's something along the lines of, oh, well, as a society, this is the drug that is deemed for this thing, and this is what I've been taught to give for this thing.
I mean, I remember like learning that it was a sales pitch for drugs, for pharmaceuticals. That like there's someone going in, there's a board meeting, and someone comes in, and essentially it's a sales pitch in front of the execs of this is what our drug is, this is what it does, these are what it treats. These are what we say it treats.
Yes.
And so this is what you have to, if it seems like X, Y, or Z, and you would normally give this, now you're going to give this. And this is the price that we're offering. We have shown in this test demo that it works in 90% of our subject or whatever.
Well, and that's an interesting point, too, of these companies will market pills for, okay, this is a depression medication, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it could also be used for bipolar disorder, and it could also be used for your equilibrium being off.
Or you can use it to lose weight.
Yeah, and it all depends on what that company says. The point I was going into before we went to the break was there's 2 companies in the UK, and one company had developed it was a syringe, it was a vaccine, to help aid with a certain kind of cancer. It wasn't a cure, it was just, to help aid with the process of it. And a pharmacy had found out that while it wasn't super effective in actually, helping the cancer patient, it didn't make the cancer any better. While it wasn't super effective in that, it did, as a side effect, cure AMD, adult macular degeneration, which is a disease that causes your eyesight to get really bad and essentially lose vision as you age. And they found that as a side effect, it was really helping people with macular degeneration. So this pharmacy started making, people, they could prescribe it as a syringe or as a drop that people with macular degeneration could take and be prescribed. So when the parent company who made this drug found out about this, they went, well, why is our drug being used for macular degeneration? It's a cancer drug. Why are you prescribing it as this?
Right.
At the same time, there's another company who saw what was going on and made a drug specifically for macular degeneration. And they went, oh, okay, so that we see what that can do. It's not marketed as a macular degeneration drug. We're going to market ours for that. So they did, and it was twice as expensive because it was for macular degeneration.
Right.
Now, the fun part is the initial company went, oh, well, that's on the market now. We are going to sue you if you use our drug for macular degeneration because their claim was we make drugs. We make medicine for we make drugs for issues that don't have a medication already.
You're saying, just to clarify for myself and for the listeners, you're saying the drug company was turning around and saying they would sue the hospitals?
Yes, they would sue the hospitals and pharmacies if they prescribed this drug that they had been using that was for cancer for macular degeneration because their claim was, well, now there is a drug for that. So you can't use ours. We don't make drugs for solutions we already have, essentially.
Right. Wow.
So they're forced to pay the more expensive one because Company A, where they found out this information through, said, no, that's a cancer drug. That's not for that.
We'll sue you if you do that again.
Yeah.
That's so crazy that they turned
just
around.
Because they decided what it's for.
Yeah. And
regardless of what it can do.
That's That is, that's like a pharmaceutical. That is legitimately a pharmaceutical company dictating how a doctor treats its patient.
Yeah.
Like 1-to-1.
Yep. It's no longer about I'm seeing a doctor because I want his medical opinion on what's wrong and how I can fix it. It's I'm seeing a doctor and he's going to look at my symptoms and look at the list of things that go to these symptoms and what to give me now.
Right.
It's not, in my opinion, it's probably this and this could help. It's, the sheet says you have these symptoms. The sheet says this is what I can give you. That's what it is now.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it is. And on the flip side of that, like we started talking about, is now you have people that are, have bipolar disorder and they're being given Zoloft, which is a depression medication.
Right.
And, it might help with their bipolar disorder, but now they have severe suicidal thoughts or severe side effects of this prescription because it's not for that really.
Right.
But your pharmaceutical company says, it's a cure-all. It'll do that too.
Right.
That's crazy to me.
Like at what point does the government get involved?
And that's the thing is the people that regulate it are the FDC. They're getting paid for it. Or FDA, sorry.
Yeah, and so what? Those are... The FDA is voted in? I have no idea. Who are the people who are working on the FDA? Who are those people?
It's those fancy 3 letters.
Yeah.
You can't trust them.
Don't trust 3-letter organizations.
Who is Mr. FDA?
The fact that it's a board of just rich people who want money in the pharmaceutical game.
Yeah, and it's...
That fund it.
And so then, what... It's a situation of I sit here now and I say, what can we do as people?
Right.
What can we do? If I have a headache, if my tummy hurts, the fuck am I going to do?
I think my story here, what I would take away from this is, to your point of what can I do, it's I'm going to look into the holistic approach, look into the natural approach to cure these things rather than going, what's the cure-all for it?
Right.
Because, like we said, look at the ingredients that you can't pronounce. Look at the list of side effects that are probably worse than the thing you're trying to get rid of, and see if there is some kind of, I have a stomach ache. Instead of, taking 3 Tums or Pepto-Bismol, maybe I'll drink ginger.
Right.
The head of the FDA is basically nominated by each president.
Oh, really?
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
That's scary.
That's interesting.
That's a scary thought.
Right now it is Robert M. Califf.
And they don't talk about that.
He was nominated by Biden.
When have you
Yeah,
heard about that?
I didn't know that was a thing until literally right now.
We're literally coming up to the election.
And the president is the one that nominates the leader of the FDA.
The guy who
of the Food and Drug Administration.
Mm.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
The more you learn about your own
that
country.
means the FDA is a lot more powerful than we think.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, no, they're immensely fucking powerful.
Okay, well, what do? We gotta eat food. We gotta eat food. We gotta take drugs.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Yeah. What can you do? That's the thing, right?
All right. Well,
and I want to say this too. I want to bring this up. I know we got a couple minutes. In terms of the side effects and things that are being prescribed, you hear stories all the time of fentanyl used to be an over-the-counter drug you could buy, and they used to prescribe all these different cocaine you could get over the counter, right? They used to use meth for shit and amphetamine. By the way, they still use amphetamine. That's all Adderall. This Adderall is a dumbed down amphetamine. But think about we have all these horror stories of things that used to be prescribed, and now they're hard drugs that kill people.
Right.
All these things that used to be. Why the fuck would we think we're any different now?
Yeah, right.
We're pumping out 3 times as many drugs that we don't know what they do.
It's worse.
You don't think in 50 years they'll be like, oh, they used to sell Ozempic over the counter.
Imagine
and now
that.
people are ODing on it.
Imagine that, yeah. People are getting high, it's like putting the Ozempic on the spoon, lighting it.
Right. It's insane to me. The fucking oxycodone is one of the most addictive drugs in the world. And you could still get it. It's not as common as it was, but you can still fucking get it.
Dude, sipping that syrup. Yeah, buddy.
It's insane to me. And to think, if anyone's out there thinking, oh, well, at least we're not 50 years ago when they were prescribing cocaine. No, we're still there.
Yeah.
It's a different name, and it's a more complex drug.
Right.
And in 50 more years, they'll say, oh, I can't believe they were prescribing that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really... and that's another interesting thing, too, how, So Ozempic is another. Just really quick, Ozempic is a drug that recently became super popular, and it's like a household name.
Yeah,
now.
it's marketed for weight loss.
But it became a household name so quickly, and something that now we all, just on the drop of a hat, we know what that word means in relation to now. And it's because the FDA is pumping this drug.
Yeah,
for
they
this
can make
thing.
money off it.
They know that it works. They know that fat people want to get skinny.
Yep.
And so...
I mean, it was originally a treatment for type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
They're like, oh, we know it has a weight loss element to it. Let's sell it as a weight loss drug.
Right.
Yep.
Crazy. And the FDA makes money off it because they put it out there and they're getting the kickback. Insane to me. 216-859-8699. Echo, thanks for listening in the chat. I'm bad at neglecting the chat. But the number is 216-859-8699 if you want to text into this show or any other shows. Guys, be advised when you go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to the Rebel Radio Show.
You know, for the third week in a row, I'm just chugging ayahuasca. It's a crutch.
Would you do an ayahuasca tour thing?
No.
So immediately ready to turn that heel. Just so immediately, not even a thought.
He's
Grace
watched
ahead.
so many videos.
It was so, like, instantly no. Obviously not, dipshit. Why would I ever consider? What makes you think I would ever consider that? The fact that I say constantly that I'm presently doing ayahuasca? Maybe. I don't know.
Hey, welcome back to the Rebel Radio Show. We're live, uncut and uncensored on WSRR Radio. We save the underground music scene here. To my right, Shani.
Hey, everyone.
On the board is Jules.
Howdy.
I'm radio's Rebel DJ style. That is spooky season, and we're talking conspiracies.
I'm going for more like musical
I was
notes.
gonna say that was like a
Yeah. Here's another.
child.
Yeah. Here's another. This is my ghosts are getting a lot more musical as I go on. Here's another one. Ready? It's coming by. I can feel it. I can feel its essence in the EKG.
Do you believe in EKG machines?
Isn't that a medical thing? Or is that
That is a medical thing. What's
That's
the
EVP?
Vox box? The Vox machine? Is
I-
that what the ghost translator?
I think
Someone who
it's-
watches Ghost Adventures in the chat or on the phone line 216-859-8699.
I think it's EVP, but like you're talking
EVP.
about that box that you like carry
No,
around.
EVP is Executive Vice President.
I don't freaking know, man, dude.
216-859-8699 or in the YouTube simulcast if you know what the ghost box that you talk to the ghost is called.
box.
The ghost zone, the box ghost. God, I love Danny Phantom. We're not talking about that or ghosts.
But we'd like to be.
But we'd like to be. We'd like to be talking about ghosts. If we could quit everything and talk about ghosts every week.
I talk about ghosts nonstop. I'm a ghost connoisseur.
Literally, there's 2 hours of the week that Shane doesn't talk about ghosts, and you hear it.
Yeah, this is it.
The rest of it is ghost talk.
I'm just constantly on ghost talk. I'm
This
in the war
town.
room talking about ghosts.
Something like a ghost town.
This town.
All right, we've killed enough time. It's conspiracy season. We're brought to you by Synergy Music Studio out of Chicago. Make sure you check them out, synergymusicstudio.com. They have a whole litany of services, even if you're not in the Chicago area, so make sure you check them out. Also, might want to check out Glitter and Big Glitter. We talked about Big Pharmacy last time.
Yeah,
We're going to talk about Big Glitter.
Down with Big Pharma, obviously, but now down with Big Glitter.
So what is the... You both brought this up to me. I had not heard about the Glitter conspiracy.
So, there was, and this is all just from recollection, there was a Wall Street Journal interview of a one of the glitter
manufacturers.
Yeah, one of
the
the
largest glitter manufacturer.
There's two.
One of the two. There's only two.
Just like Big Pharma, there's only two parent companies of glitter.
Glitterex and Meadowbrook Meadowbrook Inventions Incorporated.
If I'm buying glitter, I'm going to trust the company called Glitterex more.
Well, you shouldn't.
Yeah, Meadowbrook actually is the actual inventor of glitter.
Oh,
they founded glitter.
How do you claim inventing glitter? It's shredded
site.
PVC.
No, well.
All right, continue. Sorry for interrupting.
So this and like I don't know how to tie this in a cool way, but it links back to the Manhattan Project and the atomic bomb.
Well, the actual
cool
inventor of glitter
is
Henry Rushman.
Right.
He is the inventor of glitter and also was a worker on the Manhattan Project. They combined his materials with the bomb materials.
So he would create washers out of kelp. It's not kelp. What's the? It's a K.
Calcium?
It's a K mineral. It's a mineral that starts with K.
Potassium is K on the periodic table.
Okay, you silly goose. First, Arkansas, Texas, whatever. This guy's just trying
Lithium
to
is element number 3. Gold is stinky.
Smelly. Yeah, okay. But he would make washers out of this.
Calcite?
Maybe. he would make washers out of this mineral, and he invented a machine.
Cobalt?
He invented a metal cutting machine that could
basically precision, like they were a precision cutting place.
They had these,
okay. So I did read about this.
Yeah, they had like a precision cutting company, and they were contacted to create these washers out of calcium or something like that, a K material, and that
Mica. It was out of mica.
Yes, mica.
Mica.
Yeah. They were
Okay.
cutting mica, the stone.
So mica goes into, or the plutonium goes around these mica washers, and then they put dynamite on top, and that was like his
That's
contribution.
what detonates the bomb essentially on impact.
Right.
Okay.
But so he found that upon spinning the mica to like shave it down to these washers,
A bunch of shiny shit started spewing off
Okay.
of it, and that was glitter.
that's like the first
That was the first
ever glitter.
Okay.
And so the story goes that workers would take that product home
and put it on their Christmas trees.
put it under their Christmas trees and like sell it to drugstores to put it under their Christmas trees.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, because so my research, I did read the story about it. It wasn't as in detailed, but I did read the invention of glitter was from the U.S. government. It was shaved down mica from a precision cutting lab. And then the only commercial use after that was it was used in paints.
Like
they would
boat
sell it to
paints and
boat
stuff like
paints
that.
or like not furniture but like dining room chairs, things like
Yeah.
that, showroom stuff. They would use glitter in paints.
kitchen counters.
Kitchen counters, right.
Right.
That was the only commercial use I found of it. Like the only use of glitter in like the sense of what you would use a main use for.
Right.
After the invention of it. And then at some point it became, why are we using an expensive mineral to make glitter? And they started making it out of PVC.
I believe so.
I believe so, because the Glitterex and Meadowbrook are both just precision cutting companies. They're not like
Oh, really?
Yeah.
they're not like glitter companies.
I guess that makes
they're
sense.
precision cutting companies.
That also happen to have glitter as a result of their cutting.
Right.
So they sell glitter.
Right.
Okay,
It
so-
works to treat this, so we start treating it for this.
Right. Glitter is just a pharmaceutical.
Down with Big Pharma!
It's in toothpaste.
Glitter?
Yeah. Glitters and toothpaste. So, and that was...
Yes.
So not to completely burst the bubble right on impact,
Sorry.
but no.
Hang on. Before you get to that, because I know where you're going. What is the conspiracy? We haven't discussed what the conspiracy of glitter is.
So
During that interview,
the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
GlitterX said that they would not say
Disclose.
who their
They
biggest
couldn't
buyer
disclose.
is.
And it wasn't
because-
even their biggest buyer, it was the biggest industry.
Yes.
The mass buyer of glitter
basically.
in the world.
An entire industry,
Yeah.
not like one business or
Right.
company that wouldn't let them disclose. An entire industry that wouldn't
okay.
let them disclose.
Quote, because they don't want anyone to know that it is glitter.
So then the theory comes from, or the conspiracy comes, well, what is this thing?
What are they putting glitter in?
What are they putting glitter in that they don't want us to know it's glitter?
Yeah.
that is the number one contributor to glitter sales.
Right,
Yes.
right. And really
Guys,
quick,
it's glue. I cracked it.
really quick, I'd like to put it on the record that there was something floating around that there
Is it
was
glitter?
a glitter shortage,
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
and that was actually not true.
Yeah,
that
I
was just that was like a satire piece.
I was going to say, I had that
essentially.
written down and went, how the fuck is that possible if all it is debris?
Yeah, so that was literally just a satire piece. I don't think it was The Onion, but think The Onion,
yeah.
a la The Onion. So that's not true. There was never a shortage of glitter, but there's still this mystery buyer.
Okay.
And so that's kind of what cropped up a lot of social media like rumbling, and that's why
Yeah.
that's how this came across my
Feed.
yeah. I saw a video of a lady talking about, I think I showed it to you guys,
Yes.
about her, she was giving like a
PowerPoint.
to her husband about what is glitter.
And so the initial interview that sparked this interest in who is buying glitter mainly, during that, the Glitter X representative who's being interviewed is asked, would I recognize it as glitter if I saw it? And they kind of laugh and say, no, you wouldn't recognize that it's
Right,
glitter.
right.
So not only is the main use, I'm going to say the main use of glitter, because if it's the number one industry purchasing glitter, it's the number one thing that uses glitter, it's got to be the main use of glitter. So the fact that we don't know the main use...
The secret main use of glitter.
Yeah.
The fact that we don't know what the main use of glitter is, and the fact that we wouldn't recognize it if we saw it, is a kind of a crazy concept.
Well, and there was a caveat in that interview. I don't remember the quote specifically, but it was something to the effect of, if under UV light, if under a specific UV light, could you see it? And they said, well, yeah. And so they said, well, so certain animals that can see this UV light could, and they said yes, they could.
And it can be detected on military radar.
Right.
No.
Yes.
No. Hang on, I have research on that, on specifically the radar aspect of it.
Well, there's the GAF. Is it GAF or cash? Cash.
It's something I couldn't.
But it's like essentially it's the rounds that an airplane will throw out to throw off a heat or like a lock-on missile.
So there allegedly, this is all hearsay.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly, glitter was dumped from planes in mass quantity during the Iraq War, and it would cause issues with electronics and radar.
Wow, I did not know about that.
Now, some speculate that this is more likely graphite, because those are properties of graphite.
Oh, okay.
But they're saying it might have been a mix of like, they think it's
graphite
just...
and glitter.
Yeah, they think it's just glitter or debris, and there's a graphite in it.
Interesting.
And maybe that's what was doing it. But there are reports of using glitter during the Iraq War to not be detected by radar, to break radar detection in electronics.
Well, and it seems, too, that, like, since its inception, there's been a connection of government or with glitter, and I think that is also, like, an interesting...
And that is kind of I never figured out what it was, and you guys...
I think I know.
But I think that it's the military and the government, because if the military is so big, they would be able to keep that secret and also keep that bank rolling with Glitterex and Meadowbrook.
So I'd say start with this. Known uses for glitter. We know it was from the Manhattan Project. So it was used in the Fat Man.
Yes.
It's Fat Man and Little Boy were the two names, right? So it was used in a nuclear bomb. We know that. And that is as the origin of glitter. Which is
crazy.
Yeah, crazy to think of.
Crazy.
And then what else do we know? Boat paints, showroom paint, Christmas trees, and glue, arts and crafts.
Right.
Wide spectrum of glitter use.
Well,
it is in toothpaste.
And so it's in There's a lot of things that it that people speculated it might be in, that it is actually in, and so like.
But
toothpaste,
it's considered glitter.
It's a cosmetic.
It's considered glitter because it was cut by this
Meadowbrook
precision cutting company.
Is it considered glitter because it comes from one of these two companies? Or can I go to a precision company down the street and pick up the scraps and that's glitter?
Well,
and can they sell that?
So again, from my understanding, it's a little bit more complicated than that in terms of the rights to the machinery to create specific glitter. And so that's where kind of the plot thickens of, like, so it's this Rushman family, correct?
Yes.
It's, what is it?
Henry Rushman.
Yeah.
There's two of them. So there's the father that is the inventor, and then the son who also invented holographic glitter.
Right. And so the son, Henry
Rushman,
Junior
got fired from Meadowbrook.
Okay.
And isn't allowed back on the property sort of thing. And so I feel like glitter, because Roberto?
Yes.
It's Roberto Rushman who owns Glitterex, or not Glitterex, Meadowbrook? No. But so, yeah, I guess I don't know.
Just to clarify, Henry Rushman was in the Manhattan Project, is the one that found glitter, because it was cut mica scrap, essentially.
Right.
Yes.
Founded Meadowbrook, the company.
Yes.
That is a precision cutting company that also manufactures glitter. His son Henry Jr. took over the company.
Yeah.
And was also kicked out of the company.
Right.
And now Roberto runs it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Another family member?
Correct. Brother.
His brother?
His brother.
Okay.
And has disbarred Henry.
Do we know why Henry was fired and disbarred and not allowed back in the glitter industry?
I don't believe so, but when he was working there, they made $8 billion a year. After he was fired, they made like $3 million a year.
Interesting.
He said that
so he was brokering the big scary deal.
Yeah, he said that he did an interview with this account, and they said that sales dropped after he left 40% or something like that.
So he's definitely on an NDA. So he's definitely I'm not talking about what glitter is.
Well, yeah, no, he spoke.
All right, well, when we get back, 216-859-8699. Let me know what you think glitter's being used in. Welcome back to the Rebel Radio Show. We're talking about conspiracies in glitter, and we're brought to you by Hellbender Vinyl. There's probably some glitter in those vinyl records. There's some sparkly ones.
Yeah, they have sparkly, glittery vinyls.
You might want to reach out to them if they use glitter and where they get their supply of glitter from.
Yeah.
But you might also want to reach out to them if you want to make your album release something more than just a bunch of ones and zeros floating around online, because Hellbender Vinyl is one of America's most trusted custom vinyl record pressing plants. And when you do order from Hellbender Vinyl, you get 5 free test presses completely free. That's Hellbender Vinyl in Pittsburgh, PA, hellbendervinyl.com. I wanted to look up during the break to make sure I wasn't going crazy, because the term...
Well, you are going crazy.
Well, that's the gas leak.
Yeah.
And we don't need to talk about that right now.
Well,
okay. Glitter seems like a very broad term, because it started with a mica, and now it's PVC, so I wanted to...
He started as mica, now he's going to PVC, and then he's glitter. Who is
all
this
this PC shit's crazy. So I wanted to look up what is listed as the ingredient of glitter. What are the quote-unquote ingredients of glitter?
Yeah.
And it is made up of aluminum. I was going to say aluminium because you guys were during the break. It's made up of aluminum and polyethylene terephthalate, which is PVC, an alternative to PVC. So it's plastic and aluminum is what makes up glitter as an alternative to mica, because I'm sure it was expensive to keep cutting a mineral rather than plastic and aluminum, which is also scary because aluminum and plastic, microplastics, are both things that shouldn't just be dispersed.
Yeah, dude, I feel like we could do a whole hour on microplastics being a conspiracy.
Well, the EU banned glitter.
Yeah, I believe that. And you know what's interesting, too?
Because of microplastics.
Just to, like, go on the FDA and glitter.
It's going to come back to the FDA. That's the crazy part.
Well, so, like, I think about the, like, the bursting pellets that were in, and to go back to body wash and hair wash. That used to be in like shampoos and body washes. Yeah. They would have those
face
little
scrubs.
Yeah, they would have those little and face scrubs specifically. I remember them. Those like popping beads. I remember the EU banned those.
Really?
Before, like years before we did, and we had them. I think it was probably only like 2 or 3 years, but I remember thinking like being in stores and seeing them and being like, "This is banned in the UK. Like they literally cannot sell this product." Because the UK says that it is banned for the people in the UK.
Well, it's like what, Red Dye 40?
Yeah, right, Red Dye. And I think about like now, and if you want to do this sort of thing now, the EU has banned something that is in specifically the purple Doritos, and so they don't sell. And maybe they sell something similar, but they don't sell like
the spicy sweet chili.
Yeah.
Well, if you look, there's a video of U.S. Congress talking about this, about banning food dyes specifically, I believe, and they show a bag of Fruit Loops from the EU, and they show a bag of Fruit Loops from the U.S., and the EU one is like brown and yellows and very dull colors, and ours is like this big fucking bright neon bag, and it looks unedible compared to the other bag of cereal.
It's so scary, and we eat it like it's regular, like that's what we've been eating. We've been on this shit, you know,
because the FDA said it's okay to eat certain amounts of red dye and lead and minerals.
Like, you see those videos of like McDonald's sizes in the U.S. versus the UK, or McDonald's sizes of or Burger King fry sizes in the U.S. versus the UK, and it's like, damn, we're drinking. Our larges are their like XXX large or something like that. They don't
even the fact that the burger you get at a McDonald's has a certain percent that's allowed to be meat.
Yeah,
like
right.
30% has to be meat. What's the other fucking thing that I'm eating in this meat?
It's and like we joke about it, but like the Taco Bell meat being one food grade above dog food meat. Like, that's scary, and we laugh, and then we laugh our way through the Taco Bell drive-thru.
Then we're going to go get Taco Bell.
Right. We laugh our way through the Taco Bell drive-thru, and, like, that's just life for us, you know?
We know.
And it's even scarier because, like, you touched on it in the first hour a little bit of, like, it has a lot to do with the food that we eat.
Yeah.
And how that affects, it's just...
And it's not good for us, but they're saying, oh, no, legally it is. Legally, it's good enough.
Right. Legally, we're fine selling this.
Legally good enough should be like the description of anything that goes through the FDA. Yeah. Because that's what they're saying. Legally, that's good enough for you.
Right.
Yeah, like the lead apron at the dentist.
It's just not.
Yeah. Like the x-rays, the fucking guy giving it to you is behind
runs
3
away
glass
out of the
screens.
Yeah.
I'm standing here in my fucking underwear with an apron on.
Terrifying. absolutely.
The fuck, dude?
Absolutely terrifying.
Go to the dentist, they just blast me in the face with this thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, this is going to do a 360 scoper on your whole skull now.
I'll be
All
3
right,
rooms
great.
away looking
Yeah.
through you from bulletproof glass.
Right. All right, sounds good.
Sounds good, man. Yeah.
Blast it right through my face.
Throw me through that CAT scan machine. I don't want to breathe anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But yes, to get back to glitter,
Yeah.
it's the same concept of we don't know. Like, this stuff isn't good for you regardless, is my point of you can't have just shaved aluminum, mica, and plastic.
It's not
floating around.
It's
getting to me.
It's getting you,
it's
man.
It's really choking me up.
The mica's getting you, man. It's breathing it in.
Too many microplastics in my balls.
Yeah, it's not. It's not good for us.
There's too much glitter in my underwear.
Yeah, dude.
By the way, my point earlier, which I think really helps drive the point home of we shouldn't be using glitter in things, especially makeup. Makeup was the number 1 seller of glitter after boat paint. And you're putting fucking plastic and aluminum, like microcosms, plastic and aluminum and minerals onto your face.
Yeah, onto your lips, onto your cheeks,
in your
onto,
eyes, yeah.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Skin going right through the pores of your skin.
And like, I mean, this isn't as terrifying, but think about all of the normal, mundane, like, kids stuff.
Yeah, that has glitter,
that has glitter in it. Or like school supplies that has glitter in it.
Glitter glue, glitter crayons.
Right, like it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And
there's edible glitter.
Yeah, right.
This is how crazy. I'm gonna dumb this down to the most like nth degree. This is how crazy the concept of glitter is. If me and you were in a metal shop, and I'm just fucking like as we wanted to do, and I'm just grinding down a piece of sheet metal, right?
Yeah.
Just making a smooth edge of it.
We've been in this exact scenario many a time.
We'd have to get out our manly frustrations.
Yes.
So we go to the metal shop, and we don't have a project we work on. We just grind metal and hammer
grinding
things.
the metal.
Yeah. Make noise.
Grinding
Grunt
each
like
other
Tim Allen
and
and
the
go,
metal.
"Oh, oh, oh."
Yeah, kiss and
and there's no pants in the
No.
metal shop. That's a rule.
Yeah.
And there's X-ray machines, and so we. So no, if I'm in a metal shop and I'm just grinding down a piece of sheet metal, and you see this and go, oh, look at all these metal shavings that are a danger on the floor, and you
I'm
go
like kicking them up with my boots. I'm
Yeah,
like,
and
this
you're like-
looks pretty.
Yeah, you're like, you know what? That's kind of pretty, though. Why don't I go home and put that on things? That's a crazy concept, and that's literally what glitter is.
That's what they did.
That's what they were doing.
And they're like, hey, guys, metal is bad. Let's use plastic instead. Still bad.
They were like, oh, that's shiny. Let me go decorate my Christmas tree.
It was really, that's shiny. Let's
such
use something.
It's such a 1930s ass thought process of like, wow, Tim, this looks shiny.
Yeah.
Let me take it home and put it on the tree.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
Literally.
Like, it's gonna be amazing.
The wife's going to love this.
Yeah, right. Wait till she sees the tree.
This asbestos stuff doesn't smell too bad.
yeah, breathe it in.
It doesn't have a smell. It can't
Yeah.
be bad for you.
From the guys who brought you asbestos.
From the guys who brought you cocaine and Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Tastes great. Gets you through the day.
Yeah, the 20s and 30s. It's crazy now that we're in the 20s and 30s. We're in the 2020s, and like we're talking about. Damn, the 1920s, they were dumbasses back then.
And like I said
know?
when we did Big Pharma, like I said, nothing has changed.
Yeah,
in 100 years, it'll be the same conversation of,
right.
wow, that's some real fucking 2020 shit of doing that.
Right. It's going to be 3024, and they're going to be like, damn, those idiots were really using Ozempic? What the fuck? What the hell was their problem, dude?
They've like outlawed, what are the fucking tips of shoelaces called?
Aglets.
They've outlawed aglets. They're like, they didn't know how bad aglets were for you.
There's a black market for Logan Paul's Prime.
Yeah. Right. Like, and all of this makes me think of glitter because, like, the EU already banned it. Like we said, I could see glitter becoming outlawed, and it's something where like lead paint, right? Lead used to be in paint too.
Right.
Lead was in everyone's household paint, and they're like, guys, this is having very negative effects on our health, having lead in paint.
Right.
We can't do this. I could very well see in 100 years going, well, yeah, now that 1960s look of glitter paint was really cool, but it was killing people.
Right. Yeah. People are going to be like, those kids were using glitter glue?
Right.
In preschool?
Yeah, that's
what
the thing.
hell?
And we have edible glitter glue.
Yeah, what the fuck?
You know they make edible bubbles?
Yeah.
That are flavored?
Yes, I do.
Because we're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Because people today are stupid as fuck.
Because all we care about is ooh shiny. That's it. And that's everyone's top concern.
And apparently, that's all we've ever cared about.
Since 1960s.
Look at this shit, Dan. It's flying across the ground. It's shimmering. Wow. I'm going to package this. And that was the other thing, too. Like, so Rushman, right?
Yeah.
Henry Rushman,
Henry Rushman is spinning this mica and glitter's coming off, and people who were working in his plant were just like packaging it and selling it to drugstores.
Yeah.
No one knew. No one knew what it was.
No,
either.
they were just like, it's glitter. You'll love it.
We got a box of shiny for you.
Come on, put it on your tree.
Local pharmacists like, you got more of that shiny stuff, Henry?
Great for the holidays.
Everybody in the 40s had this exact accent.
Yeah,
no one talked any different.
They were all smarmy businessmen.
And it was literally the materials that he was using to make the bomb for the Manhattan Project.
Yeah, right.
Meanwhile, it was in a fucking bomb.
Right.
You think Henry is his name?
Yeah.
You think Henry is a little fruity? I think he was a little light in the loafers. That they're literally like cutting fucking metals and minerals to make a bomb, and he's like, "This is kind of pretty." He's like, "You see what's going on over here?
This looks actually really nice."
Guys, this would look. Imagine this on like a tree,
really,
or like in a dining room chair.
Really, really cool. Actually,
imagine this on like a fucking El Camino.
On my lady's nails.
Yeah, they had El Caminos in 1942.
It is really crazy, and this is like, it is really crazy to think that this guy just had the patent. He created his own precision cutting machine, and it worked so well that the government started essentially like contracting him.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, this is really your machine that you have is really, really good.
This is a guy who by day was a precision cutter, but his passion was glitter. He's like, I'll do this, but I'm doing it for the glitter. 216-859-8699. When we come back, we'll figure out where glitter comes from.
listening to the Rebel Radio Show, legal in 47 states.
The Nintendo DS stands for dual screen
or
digital system.
I thought it stood for David Spade.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he was a producer of the DS.
I thought he had a big involvement in that.
I forgot Nintendo contracted him out to, like, how do we make the Game Boy better? And David Spade was like, guys, why isn't there a touchscreen on the bottom?
Yeah. He was the one. He said, see how you have one screen with the Game Boy? Just do two.
Also, my boy Chris Farley's going to be in a movie called Trek. It's going to be great. I figured we're doing a lot of conspiring about, a lot of cracking conspiring about glitter.
Whoa, we're doing crack?
We're doing a lot of crack.
Hey, yo.
We're doing a lot of breaking the conspiracy of glitter, and I figured it'd be nice to have some factual information that you can learn from in there too. So there's a little fun fact for you. The more you know.
Yeah.
Just like going to genericclothes.com will get you the best clothing on the market without the big name corporate cost or big name corporate support. Genericclothes.com helps stick it to the big brand clothing companies and keeps you in the best style. And I should know
you are style,
because that's my name. 216-859-8699 if you want to text into the Rebel Radio Show. Hey, we fixed our lights on the last segment of the day. So if you were wondering why we looked a little darker in the YouTube simulcast today, that's why. It's not that we went to Jamaica and got a tan. It's because one of the lights was off.
Playing a lot of basketball.
216-859-8699. Again, that number to text in. We're talking about the conspiracy of glitter, and we're going to figure out what this big supply of glitter is now. Mm-hmm. I think we've covered the inception of glitter and what it's been used for, and the fact that it probably shouldn't be being used regardless.
Don't eat glitter.
Don't use glitter is my stance.
Yeah.
But we get back to the main point of the biggest purchaser of glitter.
Biggest industry of purchasers. So, like, multiple companies.
The main money stream.
Yes.
For GlitterX, which is one of the two biggest glitter companies.
And it's interesting, too, because this is the company that we have the least information about. We know a good amount about Meadowbrook and, like, their origins and what they produce.
Yeah.
And how they produce. But we don't know anything about GlitterX.
Well, so let's talk about this. Like you said, Meadowbrook was Henry. What's his last name?
Henry Rushman.
Henry Rushman was the guy on the Manhattan Project. Found. I'm not saying he created. He found glitter.
Yeah, he
stumbled across it.
He happened upon it on accident.
Newton found gravity. He didn't make it.
Right.
Henry Rushman found glitter, made this company Meadowbrook. Mm-hmm. His son Henry Jr. took it over. Made a shit ton of money selling glitter to God knows who. Mm-hmm. He got banished from the company, ousted. He's not allowed in his family company now.
To the Shadow Realm.
He's barely allowed on the property.
Yeah.
And then after his departure, the company loses a bunch of money yearly.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They no longer are making billions of dollars. They're making millions, but they're no longer making billions of dollars in sales. Meanwhile, GlitterX has started as their main competitor and is making billions of dollars in glitter sales. Mm-hmm. To my, just putting the pieces together here, it seems like whatever manufacturer or main industry Henry Jr. was selling to is the reason he got ousted.
Yeah.
And the reason now GlitterX is the main provider for that industry.
Yes, that is my headcanon, is that...
That's the only thing that makes sense.
Right, once Henry Jr. got ousted... Whoever this industry that was buying...
The nefarious use of glitter then had to shift to GlitterX.
Right.
Because the company Meadowbrook knew that it was a nefarious use.
And now GlitterX is keeping that under wraps.
Right.
Yes.
So we get back to the premise here, like we said at the start of it, of GlitterX representative has gone on record saying, the largest industry that purchases our product, our number one seller, our number one client, we can't name. And even if we did, or we can't name, and even if you saw it, you wouldn't know that there's glitter in it, and we're not going to disclose any information about it from there. So what is this industry, and what is this product that is using glitter more than anything else in the world that we don't know about?
It's tough. I feel like I don't have one good answer.
I think it's the military and... all kinds of reasons. They want to know what they can use it for because it was used in the Manhattan Project.
I will say, on record, that we know of, the U.S. military is the number one purchaser of glitter.
Right.
But again, that doesn't mean this company that they're talking about is the United States military. It could be under an NDA, and that's why we don't have that public information.
Well, and I think a lot of the purchasing of this glitter is done through like middlemen.
Sure.
Like middlemen,
contractor
companies, you know, that aren't directly related, so that it can have a trace sort of thing. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because, like, at one point in the interview, and I forget if it's Schaff or Gaff but it's essentially like the owner, Henry Rushman, in this interview, the junior who got ousted from Meadowbrook, claimed in this interview that they put glitter in like the pellets that the military would use to deploy as like a red herring for not heat-seeking missiles, but like lock-on missiles.
Yeah, sure.
And it's what like disperses out that white smoke in front of.
Really?
Yeah, and then like shimmers. That is glitter.
I have a new theory about my top theory, and I'm going to write it down because I want to save it because there's other things I want to get to.
Mm-hmm.
You saying that has opened something in my third eye.
Oh God!
So let me mark that down real quick.
I've opened something up in style.
Oh,
I've been waiting years.
It's not the first time. Micro taggants. Like we said, on record, the biggest purchaser of glitter is the United States military. Again, we don't know if that is the client that was discussed, or we don't know if the client is the higher purchaser that can't be disclosed.
Mm-hmm.
However, micro taggants are a primary use of glitter with the United States military.
Mm-hmm.
They are multi-layered micro glitter that's added to all commercial explosives. So all dynamites, EMPs, things like that, C4 has micro taggants in it, which is just compressed, condensed glitter, essentially.
Interesting.
And it's used to track down either illegal use of explosives or explosive residue on battlefields or things like that, because
so
they have devices that can mark out the glitter pattern.
Interesting.
Interesting. DNA left in the glitter from the explosion or things like that.
Yeah.
But it's used to... It shows discrete traces from the glitter of the use of this illegal explosive or how to track down who's using it.
Really quick echo on the YouTube live stream says there's got to be some rogue employee that would be willing to share the secrets at GlitterX. That's kind of what Henry Jr. did with Meadowbrook, and that's how like Jules and I got all this information from this interview. Is he was essentially ousted from this company, and Chuppy, I think. Chuppel was the name of the YouTube account that had conducted this interview. So they must have just reached out and got lucky, essentially, in contacting him or like tracing how to contact him.
Well, there was he had wrote an article himself.
Yeah, and it was like John Seeley or something like that, who was a industrial writer, was his. So
they wrote a paper basically talking about.
It talked about him
Henry
getting
Sr.
expelled from...
No.
Okay.
It was just talking about Henry Sr. and him being the inventor of glitter.
So his synopsis essentially gave the story of how glitter came to be.
Yes, but then also they had an interview after through this paper that they found. They did they
reached out to him.
Went back to him, right?
Reached out to him and conducted this interview, and then got more information on like the nitty-gritties, essentially.
And what glitter is used in, and like.
But obviously he couldn't disclose who this top consumer is, because we don't know.
Well, so GlitterX was the one that did the interview with the Wall Street Journal, and
but what I'm saying is, if our theory is correct, that the reason Henry Jr. was ousted and the reason they made so much more money under him is because of this mysterious client, he would know.
I see what you're saying.
And if he didn't disclose that, and that company then went to GlitterX following his removal from Meadowbrook, he would know that client.
Well, I don't think the interviewers went to that same mind path.
Well, that's what I'm saying is we don't know, though. He didn't disclose who this top client is.
Well, but he did disclose like what when he was with Meadowbrook, he did disclose what they were using glitter for, which is like toothpaste.
What they were contracting him for.
Yeah, it was
just general uses of
toothpaste, airplane brakes, batteries.
Yeah.
To me, none of those seem like the big blockbuster thing that GlitterX is hiding, though.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like it's one industry, so that means that it's one kind of product or a similar group. But like he was listing. This Henry at this interview was listing off like
miscellaneous things.
Yeah,
that
countertops
happen to have glitter in them,
and toothbrushes, and
it's mainly aesthetic things.
Yeah, yeah.
Which that's the part that I get hung up on is this mysterious corporation, this mysterious industry that is the main consumer of glitter, isn't using it for aesthetics because we're told we wouldn't recognize it.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, this is shiny, this is probably it.
And I think that's where the big mystery comes in. It's clearly like hidden, or we don't have the full visual scope of where the glitter is, or and I think that's where like the conspiracy comes in, and why this is as interesting as it is, because there's this big industry that has this secret, and it's not just one company; it's an entire industry that has this secret that they've been keeping from the public, and they're all in unison keeping it, and we don't know what it is, and they don't want us to know what it is.
And we don't know why it has to be kept secret.
Because they don't want us to know it's glitter.
Right. But we know that whatever it is, it's glitter. And so we're essentially just looking for random objects, being like, is that glitter?
And we'd never know if we saw it.
Right.
But ever since that interview, GlitterX, nobody from GlitterX will speak on behalf.
I'm sure. Do you have a theory of what it is? What is this product or industry?
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's not what is the product, it's what's the industry. I feel like it could be like, it would make sense if it was like a marble, like countertop, or like a granite stoning industry, or
but we would know that's glitter.
I was gonna say, you think that'd be that top secret though?
But then I feel like it has to be more nefarious than that.
Right.
It's got to be like bombs.
Or, well, yeah, I think like
I think explosives is a safe guess, but again, we've talked a lot about that.
And like that seems to be public enough knowledge, either like bombs
to
or
where they'd
like
be like, oh, you can look it up.
Tracking or anti-tracking,
right?
You know, like we know that the military does stuff, and so I guess it's a thing of maybe it is the military that is the number one industry, and they're
it's
just
a specific thing.
Well, maybe they're just recovering their tracks with GlitterX, and like, yo, we had this deal with Meadowbrook, but now we want to reseal the deal with you.
Yeah,
no one's gonna know, even though we kind of already had the hints from, or we already found out through Rushman and Meadowbrook.
Yeah.
Jules, did you have a top theory?
I think they're used in bombs.
You think you think the top consumer is the government, and they're using it for bombs?
Because I mean, the only one instance that we have is the guy who invented it used it in the Manhattan Project.
Right.
Other than that, it's completely silent. And it's been...
Well, I mean, other than cosmetic shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the cover-up.
Really quick, maybe the dental industry?
Ooh.
Think about toothpaste, think about toothbrushes, think about veneers or
I was
going to
say fake teeth and fillings.
And fillings of any kind might have some kind of glitter in it to give your fake teeth.
That is something you would look at under a UV light.
That shine, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so maybe if you looked under a UV light, fake teeth have like
they do
shiny.
glow under a UV light.
Yeah. So when you initially showed me this theory, don't know why my first thought was acetaminophen or the pharmaceutical industry of using.
We're tying them both.
Well, because it is PVC and aluminum,
right?
You probably wouldn't want to disclose that's in medication.
Interesting.
And I'm sure you could make a medical term for glitter. In all the list of things that are on the back of acetaminophen.
Yeah, right.
And you wouldn't recognize it because it's just white powder because it's condensed and put in a pill. I think it could be any mix of pills, but I think acetaminophen is highly consumed and it's highly used in day-to-day life, and no one would think anything of it.
But why are they feeding us glitter?
Because it's the FDA,
placebo.
Man. Not placebo. I don't think it's placebo.
No.
But I think it'd be something of, if we found out that, we know the FDA allows certain amount of metals in our food, but now they're literally just putting glitter as a filler in medicines.
Right, to make it...
Right. To either cut back on some other thing that's in there.
Yeah,
and
to make it a full gram tablet or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was my first thoughts. I don't know why I had asbestos down on my list too. That glitter is used in asbestos, and I thought maybe there's just a negative tie there that they don't want. associated with that.
Sure.
My big one that I had written down yesterday. The big one. Because George Bailey was there when they made. My big one was money. Specifically, dollar bills.
Like other countries' money.
Yeah, he specifies in that interview that it's used in foreign countries.
Well, maybe it's used in ours. And the reason that they wouldn't want that to get out is because maybe that is the thing. Because, again, you look at it under a light. You can use the markers on money. Maybe that is the thing that sets apart counterfeit from real money.
And counterfeit producers don't know that it's glitter.
They don't know it's some form of glitter used in the production of money.
That's very
That was my big one. Until you brought up the fact that they use it for heat-seeking or lock-on missiles as kind of a dispersal cloud.
As a distraction, essentially.
Right. Cloud seeding.
Ooh.
Interesting.
To get back to last year a little bit, cloud seeding and chemtrails.
Yeah.
I think, and it could be the federal government still. That's the number one portion of this. It could be an airline.
And for the listeners at home, can you break down cloud seeding?
So cloud seeding and chemtrails, in regard to cloud seeding, is the use of using, and it is aluminum that we went over. It's aluminum and some other kind of sulfate. Sulfate.
There's some salty stuff in there too. I can't remember.
It's a combination of minerals and metals that is used at high altitudes to drop into the atmosphere to then create synthetic rain or clouds or storms.
Essentially, controlling the weather.
Yes, and it is. I mean, you can
or
look it
nudging
up.
The weather one way or another.
Sure. And it sounds very sci-fi. It sounds very conspiracy theory tinfoil hat. You can look it up in the Middle East, though. That is the number. I believe Saudi Arabia, if I remember correctly, are the number one users of cloud seeding and weather manipulation because it's so dry there. They have to use that method to make rain for crops.
Right.
So my theory is, we know it's aluminum. That's the main ingredient with cloud seeding. We know glitter is mainly aluminum, at least half aluminum. Maybe that's what it is. And maybe it is either the federal government that's using it for weather manipulation and storms, and that is why we don't want it to get out, because they deny weather manipulation enough as it is.
Yeah, right.
And if we can tie one more thing to it of, then why are you buying mass quantities of glitter?
Interesting.
And where is it going?
Yeah, right.
I think that could be the big one.
They're putting glitter in the damn air.
I'm thinking maybe it's, or even like pesticides or something like that.
Right.
Where it's, we're just going to crop dust with glitter.
Yeah, right.
Because it has this effect on either crops or you.
Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder.
I think that's money was my big one until then.
Do a light seed of glitter over L.A.
Right.
Keep the people happy or something like that.
L.A. would love that.
L.A. would
love if it rained glitter.
A little shimmer in the sky.
Yeah.
They might like that.
I think there's enough shimmer in the sky in L.A. I do think that could be the primary use of glitter. And maybe it is, like Jewel said, maybe it's a contractor that's not necessarily the federal government.
Right.
But it's like, this certain agency that works specifically with weather manipulation or aviation.
Right.
That is then supplying airlines or the government or, some other private organization to use weather manipulation cloud seeding.
Interesting. Because, what could be so nefarious that it's glitter that we don't want it? We don't want to know that it's glitter.
Yeah.
They don't want us to know that it's glitter. It has to be something bad. Like, it has to be
groundbreakingly bad.
Right. Like, it would have to be something where if the general public
that would affect us.
Got a hold of this information, it would be breaking news.
But why?
This thing is glitter.
Are we consuming it, you think?
I feel like it has to be a consumption thing.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe the medical industry at the start.
It could be a medical thing. It could be in the sky. Because, I think maybe to zoom out a little bit, maybe it's not something that we're consuming. But I would have to say that it is something that directly affects us as humans on a daily basis.
It affects our health.
It affects our health, or it affects our lifespan, our day-to-day life. Something. Is it in water?
Yeah.
Could be.
I don't know.
Yeah, what if it's like a major water distributor that's using glitter as something in the water?
Right.
In place of the minerals that we're lacking in water.
Right. I don't know, but it has to be something. I think that's my theory. It has to be something that is directly affecting us on a day-to-day basis, and that's why they don't want us to know. It could be anything.
It could be in like a chemo drug, and if people found out, they'd just be pissed.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And yeah, that could be the other thing too. Maybe it's not something that would be so like earth-shattering, but it would be a big lawsuit for that company.
Sure.
And
Maybe
so they don't want to get
something
sued.
like so diabolically fucked up that
they don't want to get sued, or that company doesn't want to go instantly bankrupt overnight because they found out that they're doing something bad. Maybe it isn't super earth-shattering. Maybe it's just one specific subcategory of culture that is being deeply impacted by glitter, and if that culture found out, there would be lawsuits and ramifications for that company.
I think military use and explosives, things like that, is an easy answer. That's logical.
Right.
I think the pharmaceutical industry is a logical answer that makes sense. I think the federal government for cloud seeding is a logical answer, in my opinion. I think money is, too.
Yeah.
I think using it in U.S. federal currency as a way of, hey, we don't want this to get out, because then people would know how to make more legitimate counterfeit money is a legitimate answer, too. But I want to know what you guys think. 216-859-8699. That's 216-859-8699 is the Rebel Hotline. It works for the Rebel Radio Show and all of the programming on WSRR Radio. Remember, this is conspiracy season all October long on WSRR Radio. So not only do you get conspiracy theories every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Rebel Radio Show, you get conspiracies at the bottom of every hour, courtesy of the Swerve Podcast. They do conspiracies in 3 for us. You can tune in right before the top of each hour, and you get a mini conspiracy theory fill right there. You can also go to WSRRradio.com. Of course, it's our homepage for all of our other shows, showtimes, schedules, and more, like Shaney's Off Air.
That is true.
The Pigeonhole, we have a new show, Behind Enemy Lines, the Pittsburgh-based Cleveland sports show that's coming to WSRR Radio 2, hosted by Lucas DeRazio and Dom Farrow, so make sure you check that out, as well as a whole bunch of other projects and shows on the way. Again, WSRRradio.com is the homepage for all of that information, and the link to the Discord server, where you can chat with us personally and the rest of the community more about this theory or any other theories or any other shows or topics that you might want to. Again, WSRRradio.com gets you to the Discord server. Thanks for everyone listening. 5 p.m. on this Monday, 10 a.m. on podcast form, wherever you get podcasts as the Rebel Podcast, or during the YouTube Live simulcast every Monday at 5 p.m. as well.
Thank you, Echo.
Yeah, thanks, Echo, for contributing to the conversation, and make sure you do subscribe and follow us along on WSRR Radio. Don't forget to check out Synergy Music Studios out of Chicago. They do great work in music mixing and mastering, getting your tracks, album, or radio ready. Again, Synergy Music Studio out of Chicago. Even if you're not in the area, take advantage of their reamping service. Thank you to GenericClothes.com for keeping us stylish on the Rebel Radio Show and telling those big brand clothing cunts to suck it, because no one should be paying thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars even for a white shirt with a red box or a black shirt with a white check mark. No one needs to be spending that kind of money for the same quality clothes. GenericClothes.com has you covered. And of course, thank you to Hellbender Vinyl. I'm going to go on a limb and say, in terms of WSRR Radio, they're probably the #1 user of glitter. That's Hellbender Vinyl out of Pittsburgh, PA. Make sure you check them out if you're looking to make your next album release special, or even if you want to pick up some cool albums that bands in your area and local and independent bands have released. Hellbendervinyl.com. They're one of America's most trusted custom vinyl record pressing plants. And when you use Hellbender Vinyl, you also get 5 free test presses. One more shout out for True Vault Escapades that comes out at 10 p.m. Eastern every weekday on WSRR Radio. It's the Fallout-based radio drama, a full-length 60s-style radio drama completely set in the Fallout universe and timeline. Until next time, I'm going to catch my breath. To my right, Shaney.
Bye, everyone.
On the board is Jules.
Adios.
I'm Radio's Rebel DJ Style. Peace.